Okay, so in this video, I would like to talk about the so-called stock market index. So what's the stock market index? Essentially, it is a price for a group of stock, not just for one stock. So previously, you have seen, so for example, what's the current stock, latest stock price for American Airlines, right? It's $10.25. Let me type M. M is a ticker. Here I have Microsoft, MSFT. So the latest price for Microsoft stock is $171, right? And Microsoft now is worth 1.3 trillion US dollar, even bigger than Amazon and Apple. Okay, so this is only price for an individual stock. How many stocks are traded in the stock market, in NYSE or NASDAQ? There are thousands of stocks, right? And also this process is quite dynamic. So new companies, right, they may begin trading their stocks at either NYSE or NASDAQ. While some other companies, right, they may not operate well. They may have been losing money and they file for bankruptcy, right? Or they got merged with another company, right? So as a result, their stocks are kicked out. So it's quite a dynamic process, right? So since there are thousands of stocks traded in a particular stock market every day, right? Can we just use one number to summarize the performance for the entire stock market or for a particular group of stocks? Can we just use one number to summarize the behavior or the performance for a group of stocks? We can do that by using a mathematical or statistical tool called the stock market index. So essentially, we're going to use stock market index to convert a number of stock prices, right, into a single price. Okay, so here, how to do this trick? So here I want to talk about how to do averaging. So you may be familiar with the so-called simple average. Okay, let's start like this. Suppose we have 3 companies with some information like this. We have company A, company B, and company C, right? And we know their latest stock price. And we also know their market cap, their current market size. Let me center everything. So for company A, its current stock price $10. Company B is current stock price $5. For company C is current stock price $45. Okay, market size. Company A's current market size is 5 billion US dollars. For company B is 1 billion US dollars. And for company C, that is 4 billion US dollars current market cap. Okay. So how can we here, right, convert 3 prices, the prices for 3 companies, right, into one single number, one single price, right? We can do a so-called simple average. So what's a simple average? Let's just calculate the average price across these 3 companies, right? So we have here $10 plus $5 plus $45 divided by 3, which is, if you are familiar with math, that is equivalent to $10 times 1/3, right? Plus $5 times 1/3, plus $45 times 1/3. So this is, before giving you the final answer here, this is how we do a so-called simple average, right? Simple average is also called equally weighted average. So we treat each price equally. Why? Here. Each price is multiplied the same number, also called the weight, right? Each price is weighted the same by what? 1/3. 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, right? So we treat the importance of each price equally. So that's how we do the simple average, right? So what's the answer here? Let me find out the answer. So the average is equal to 20. Let me ignore the dollar sign, right? Okay. So here we have just created very simple stock market index. This index, this number 20, right? We can think of this number 20 as the average price for all three companies. Its current price, right? For this group of stock, 3 is $20. Okay. This is so-called a simple average. But in reality, this method doesn't work very well in the stock market. Why? Because here we have another column. Let me color this column green. For companies, right, we have large companies like Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, you have seen, right? We also have middle and small, relatively small size companies like American Airlines, United Airlines, Delta, right? And Panera Bread, for example, right? So seems like if we treat each price equally does not make any sense, or this number may not truly reflect what else is going on in the stock market, because large companies, right, they may be more influential. So for example, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, right, they are more influential in the stock market, or even maybe way beyond the stock market than smaller companies such as Panera Bread. So for example, the CEO of Apple, Tim Cook, right, may easily schedule a personal meeting with the President of the United States, right? But can you imagine the CEO of Panera Bread can easily schedule a personal one-on-one meeting with the President of the United States? Based on common sense, seems like the answer is no, right? So that's why large companies tend to be more influential in the stock market. So it seems like it does not make any sense to treat all those companies equally in the averaging process, right? So that's why in reality, to convert all prices, individual prices into one average number, right? We do not use the simple average price, simple average approach. So instead, we use the so-called weighted average price, weighted average approach. Specifically, we use what? Market cap to calculate the weighted average. Okay, so the basic idea is very simple. So now we know the market size or market value for all three companies, right? 5 billion, 1 billion, 10 billion, right? So question, the total value market value of all three companies is 5 plus 1 plus 4. The answer is 10 billion US dollars, right? Okay, the total market value. And next, let's convert all three prices, right, into one single number. So the stock price for company A is still $10. Multiplies. Now, it is weighted differently. So the side, company A is the largest among the three, right? So company A should be the most influential among the three companies. So company A's stock price should receive the highest weight. So what's company A's stock price weight? It is its own market value, 5 billion US dollars, right? That's numerator divided by what's the denominator? The total value, 10 billion US dollars. So that's the weight for company A plus. Now let's move on to second company B. Its current market price $5, right? Multiplies, what's the weight for company B? Company B is the smallest among the three, right? So the weight for company B is its own market value, $1 billion US, divided by, that's the numerator. What's the denominator? Again, total market value, $10 billion US. Okay, plus the last component, company C, right? Its market price $45 right now. Multiplies, what's the weight for company C? The weight, as you can tell, right, is set by its own market value divided by total value. So its own value is $4 billion US, divided by total value among the three, $10 billion US. And we can do some simplification, right? So you can use a calculator to find out the final result. Let me do this using my calculator. So the answer is equal to 23.5. You can see this number is different from the previous number, right? Right? Let me color those prices here. When we calculate this weighted average, right? We multiply each company's individual stock price multiplies its relative weight. That means its relative size in this market. You can see larger companies, right, receives a higher weight. So the result is different from the simple average. So this weighted average approach is the fundamental approach used in the stock market to calculate the so-called stock market index. Here, I give you a very simple example. We use the weighted average approach, right, to convert three prices, right, into one single number, 23.5, right? So suppose that is today. Suppose today the stock market index, let me start with a new line. Suppose today the value weighted index for this stock market involving three companies, right, is equal to 23.5. And tomorrow, once tomorrow arrives, this index increases to, so for example, become 30. Then we can draw a conclusion overall from today to tomorrow, right? On average, the stock price has increased. So if this number is getting bigger over time, right, we can tell overall the stock market has been doing well. On average, the prices are rising, even though some prices may be falling, but overall, on average, stock prices are rising over time, or the stock market has been doing well. This could be only one scenario. We can have a different scenario. Suppose today this index, right, this number we calculate following this approach is equal to 23.5. But this index value becomes, for example, 10 at the end of tomorrow. So this number has decreased by a lot over 1 day period of time, right? Then this indicates the stock market has, in some sense, crashed, right? Or we can say, on average, most stock prices have decreased a lot over this past one trading day, or the stock market has been doing terribly, right? Because the index value has dropped from 23.5 to 10 over 1 day period of time. So the stock market index is very useful to give investors some idea what is going on in the stock market. If this number is getting bigger and bigger over time, right, higher and higher over time, then we can say the market has been doing well over time. If this number is falling, then we can tell the market has been doing terribly, or the market may have experienced a major financial crisis. Okay. There are many stock market indexes. This is the homepage of Yahoo Finance, right? Here, there are several. These are all stock market indexes. There are many stock market indexes, right? Some are very famous and very important. So I'm going to start with this one, Dow 30. So Dow 30 is short for the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And this is it has its own Wikipedia page. For short, it has a name, Dow, called the Dow Index or Dow 30 Index. This index was created about 135 years ago, right? So why it's called the Dow 30? Because this index involves, can you guess how many stocks? The answer is 30, right? So those companies included in this index are called components or constituents in this index, right? What are they? They are small, 3M, American Express, Apple, Boeing, Cisco, Coca-Cola, Dow, ExxonMobil, Goldman Sachs, IBM, right? Those companies. And this column you can see where, so for example, Apple stocks are traded. Apple stock is traded at NASDAQ. IBM stock is traded at NYSE, right? And Apple belongs to the information technology sector. American Express belongs to the financial services industry. And you have the date once American Express is included in the Dow index. So, okay, this Dow index, the latest value for this Dow index, right, is roughly 23,515. Compared with yesterday, this number has increased by 0.17%, right? So the idea is exactly the same as our simple example here. So that means compared with yesterday, on average, all these 30 stocks, right? On average, their prices have increased by 0.17% over this one-day trading period of time. Okay, and of course, you can change the time window here. Over the past 5 days, right? This index has decreased from roughly 24,000 to 23,500. So that means over the past 5 trading days, right? On average, stock prices in this index, those 3 companies, right? On average, their prices have been falling over the past 5 days. So the Dow index gives you a basic idea how these companies' stocks are doing in the stock market. Okay, see, stock market index, right, is the price for a group of stocks. For the Dow index, it's the price for a group of 30 largest historical American corporations: Goldman Sachs, IBM, JP Morgan Chase, McDonald's, Microsoft, Nike, and Pfizer. Okay, but there are thousands of stocks traded in American stock markets, right? So the Dow index is not very representative of the entire American stock market. So that's why we have other stock indexes. So let me click this S&P 500. S&P 500 index, it has its own Wikipedia page, right? So this index was created or constructed by this company called S&P Standard & Poor's. And as its name suggests, right? This index involves how many stocks? Roughly 500. So that's why I call it S&P 500 index. So this index basically uses the value-weighted approach, right, to convert the stock prices for 500 companies into one single number here. And what are those companies? From this Wikipedia page, you can find its constituents. here, list of S&P 500 companies, right? And you can see all of them here. So for example, Dollar Tree, the Dow, Dover Corporation, eBay, Edison, Expedia, Ford, we have General Dynamics, aerospace and defense, the aerospace and defense sector industry, and its headquarters. Okay, so the latest value for the S&P 500 index, right, is 2,797 and 0.80. So compared with yesterday, this number has decreased by 1.5 points. And in percentage, this number has decreased by 0.05%. So that means compared with yesterday's closing index or closing price, the S&P has decreased. That means on average, the stock prices, right, for these 500 companies, right, they have decreased by how much? By 0.05%. Or you can say the stock market is not doing very well today. So what are the criteria to be included in the S&P 500 index? So there are many criteria, but basically you have to be a large corporation. So that means your market cap should be consistently bigger than $10 billion to be included in the S&P 500 index, like a Ford. Okay, so the S&P 500 index, right, is better or is more representative of the American stock market than the Dow 30, because Dow 30 it only involves 30 companies, right? The scope is way too narrow. So S&P 500 is more representative. And also S&P includes all large corporations whose stocks are traded in American stock exchanges, right? So S&P 500 is more representative of the entire American stock market. Here, over the past 6 months time window, right? You can see here the S&P 500 index, its value has decreased from over 3,000 points to roughly 28,000 points right now, right? And the reason you can tell why, because of the what? The coronavirus, right? The global pandemic. Okay, so this is S&P 500 index. There are many stock market indexes. Here is Wikipedia page called the list of stock market indexes, right? We have global indexes, we have regional indexes, right? You can find those Asia, we have national indexes. There are hundreds of stock market indexes. But in the United States, in America, the most famous indexes are the Dow 30, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the S&P 500. And we also have NASDAQ. What's NASDAQ index? So basically, the NASDAQ composite, that means we use the value-weighted formula, the value-weighted average approach, right, to calculate this weighted average the price for how many stocks? For all those stocks traded where? At the NASDAQ stock exchange. So this number reflects in some sense the average price for all those stocks traded where? At the NASDAQ. How about the Russell 2000? Russell 2000, this index is created by this company, Russell, right? And as its name suggests, this index includes roughly 2,000 stocks. But what kind of stocks? Most middle and small size stocks. What are the criteria? Remember, market cap less than 10 billion US dollars or less than 1 billion US dollars, called a small cap, right? So if you care about the performance for middle and small size companies, right, then you should follow the Russell 2000 index. Here, for the Russell 2000 index, right, today's closing value, rough 1,214 points. Compared with yesterday's closing price, this number has increased by 12 points or has increased by roughly 1%. So that means for small size company stocks, right? On average, their prices have increased by how much? By roughly 1%. So compare with S&P 500. Today, small and middle-sized companies, right? Their stocks are doing pretty well today. But large-sized companies, right? Their stocks are not doing very well today. So S&P 500, Dow 30, Nasdaq Composite, Russell 2000, and we also have the so-called NYSE Composite Index. As this name suggests, right, NYSE Composite is basically the average stock price for all those stocks traded where at the New York Stock Exchange NYSE Composite Index. Okay, these are major American stock market indexes. How about this FTSE index? This FTSE 100 index captures the performance for roughly 100 companies, right, traded where at the London Stock Exchange in England, United Kingdom. FTSE index. How about this CAC index, CAC 40, CAC 40, right? This CAC 40 is a benchmark, it's a French market stock market index. It measured the 40 most significant stocks traded in the European market, in the French market. The DAX index, right? This index involves roughly 30 major German corporations traded where in the Frankfurt stock market. These are major European stock market indexes.